and welcome back to the channel of the Move with Linda. You are with me, Linda O'Carroll. And as always, you know the drill. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, thank you so much for the love and support. Now, you know what I do every single time you are tuning in is to find some life-changing impact stories that can enable you make moves. And today, I didn't go too far to find the person who's sitting next to me. Her name is Mwango, and she is my cousin, and it's amazing to have her on the channel. Welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
Yay, looking very nice.
We try, we show out. We show out. We show out.
And you show out and you show up because you're looking fantastic. Karibu sana. Yeah, and really nice to have you back home because you haven't been in Kenya for a while.
Yeah. I moved home end of 2021 almost.
Yeah.
Right? So I moved back home end of 2019, and it's been almost 2 years, I would say, come November 2022. So
yeah,
and I was away for almost 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
How do you feel being back home?
Honestly, I would just put it in stages, you know what I mean? And it's so interesting because from everyone I've talked to who has come home, and there are different camps of people who return.
Yeah.
There are people who grew up, right? Here, they leave for school, they kind of do their thing out there, and then they come home.
Yeah.
And then there are people who left at a very early age with their families, and your entire existence is abroad, and then you come home. Those are two different, you know what I mean? Those are two different experiences.
Yeah.
And from the people the first ones I mentioned, because I was one of the ones who go for school, you live for a bit and then you come home, everyone has said that it's really a journey in stages. You know, you come home, things are so different, and it takes time to adjust. And then about where I am now, like the 1.5 year mark, you know, things are a little bit more stable. So
it was rough the first couple of months,
it was, and not capital R, rough.
But you have to honestly unpackage that, because the thing is, you know, people when they come back, they always talk about the development side. All the roads have changed. Oh my gosh, malls have developed. But on a personal basis, that's what we don't touch on. And I want you to share with the people what that looked like for you. Because it's not just, you know, coming back, you have your degrees, you have your expertise, and you're knocking on doors, maybe. Are they opening, or the guys are just like, you know what? No.
Depending on at what point in your stage of life you're coming back, there are different expectations. So for me, I had finished school. My plan was to come back for a little bit and then eventually go back to Canada. And just a bit of my journey is I finished off my high school in Canada. I did my 4 years of uni in Canada. I worked for a little bit in Canada, moved to London to pursue my master's, moved to South Africa to pursue my master's again, and then came back home. And when I was thinking about spending time at home and now being here, not visiting on holiday, whatever, it was a bit scary, because to put it into perspective, I didn't grow up in Nairobi like you, right? For me, it was always like, I grew up in Kisii where my parents were based, which is a very small town. Well, not a small town, but it's not Nairobi.
It's not Nairobi,
And then went to boarding school from 7 to 16 outside of Kisii. So the prospect of moving back was Nairobi was gonna be another new city. You know, and then when I moved back and people are like, I'm going to Kilaleshwa, come to Kitisuru, Lavington, and I'm like, these places, I don't know these roads, I don't know where all of this is. So it was literally another new city. The only thing that was helping me was I know how to speak Swahili, and this is home. But it was a new city, honestly. And it's like you come back, and it's such a journey in the sense that, like, you come back and you're like, okay, you know, I'll work for a little bit. I see what working at home is like, and then I move back, because the option of moving back is still very open, particularly with Canada, which is where I would have wanted to move back to. And it was interesting and scary, because what I had realized is I don't know what it's like to be an adult in Kenya, because so much of my adult life was formed abroad.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you're so independent, you know, from 16 to 26, right? You are so used to doing things yourself.
Yeah.
Your banking, your home life, your cooking, you have the shops that you go to, Shoppers, you know, what is this? Walmart.
Yeah.
You know which bus to take or which route to take. And then it's like, even with your admin stuff, you know, job wise, it's like you have your routine. And then you come here and it's like, you do rely on systems, but you rely on people a lot. And you're just, you know what I mean? Like, with my passport, you know, you do rely on the system, but then it's like, you know, if this is not working, speak to so and so.
Exactly.
And I'm like, guys.
Yeah. The system is there, it should work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was very difficult. Trying to just learn how to be an adult in Nairobi, and it's so different from what being an adult in Canada or London or South Africa is.
Yeah.
And then one thing that a lot of people will tell you as well is that you prepare yourself for is you ask yourself, will I have all of the amenities that I'm used to? You know what I mean? And what I learned, and was in a good way, is that there are a lot of amenities, a lot more comforts, I would say, in Nairobi that I experienced that I didn't experience in, say, London or Canada.
Such
as, say, for example, like when I was in university and I would go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You get on a bus.
Yeah.
You go and you shop for your whole week. You're carrying CG, tomatoes, onions, fruits, pasta, rice, whatever. You get them all on the bus. You're walking from the bus stop, you know, all the way to your space. But then here, it's like, of course, if you can afford it, but it's you know, like maybe like 100 bob delivery. You have the Globos.
Yeah.
You have the Carrefour apps.
Yeah.
So it's like, you also come home at a time where it's like, the world is a lot smaller when it comes to tech and development. And so it's like, oh, I'm not missing that, you know? In terms of like, oh, you know, I mean, for us, you know, we have like our cosmetic products. I'm like, oh my gosh, no Sephora, no this. You know, they're still there, perhaps a little bit more expensive than you would get them abroad.
Yeah.
But it's like the things that you thought that you would not be able to survive with, you realize they're both here.
Yeah.
And it's not as big a deal. What it was a very interesting journey was the work journey. And I know
that is what I wanted to reach, like more reach right now.
And I moved back 2 months before the pandemic hit. It was really like, what is going on here?
You know, there's actually a movie on Netflix about the pandemic.
I've heard,
I've watched it and I was like, how you picture it, then you're living the reality is totally different.
You know, I was actually, what is hilarious is that the day we had our first case in Nairobi, I was actually with Linda's mom, my auntie.
Yeah.
And, you know, Linda, like, you've seen her on Linda's channel. She's so active. And, like, we went walking in Jaffrey's.
Yeah.
And she was just enjoying. She had just retired. We went on a 10 a.m. walk. We're just talking about life. And it was just so nice, you know, hanging out with my auntie. And then we were just talking and I was telling her, hey, madam, this world wants to end. Because there were cases in different parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
And I said, hey, madam, this world wants to end when you're retiring and me, I'm just moved back home. I was like, the world can't end.
It can't.
And so we get back into the car and then she switches on the radio and it's like, I don't know what radio station it is, but it's like, you know, we're sorry to announce that the first case of COVID-19 has hit Kenya. Your mom just looked at me like this. We went to Tesco's and that woman bought the whole. If there was toilet paper missing in Tesco's Lavington, it was Linda's mom. I swear to God. And I literally looked at her and I said, "The world is about to end when you guys have lived,
Oh my God,
you've worked, you've had kids, and the rest of us are just now."
Yeah, we're just starting off. Yeah.
So that happened. The country went into lockdown for I don't know however many months.
Yeah.
And then I went to PC to be with my parents because county lockdowns, you don't really know the direction the world is going, the political stability of the country. So it was just best for me to be with my familial unit and not in Nairobi. And while I was at home, I was just applying for jobs and trying to find work. And it was just a depressing journey, you know what I mean? Because you have all of those hesitations normally, but now compounded by the economic instability of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I was sending emails to employers, both here and abroad. I'm saying, I'm this, I have a background in this, I can work at this. Are you hiring? Just cold emailing and just, sorry, our offices are closed, whatever. And I was like, honestly, as soon as the borders open back up, I'm going back to it because I cannot do this. Yeah. It was tough. And the thing is like, youth, and a lot of people need to be open with themselves and say, like, when you come home, you feel like, okay, you've got all of these degrees that are now Western because there's that notion that West is best, which is very colonial and not great. But there's that mentality, and that's why people push themselves to leave the country to get degrees, so that you can come back and you're quote unquote more marketable.
Yeah.
So a lot of people tend to come home, and then you have this idea that I'm Western educated, and so now I deserve this job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, having lived in South Africa with all of those complex political, racial, economic dynamics, you also now begin to understand when you're a visitor to people's spaces. Because it would be very foolish of me to think that I have all of this background working in Canada, London, South Africa, and then to have no idea what's going on in Kenya, and then to say you guys should hire me, versus someone who has maybe gone to whatever universities that are around. They know the situation on the ground, they have connections, and for you not to hire that person, you know what I mean? So it's like, you have to understand that you are coming into people's spaces. You've been abroad, but things have been moving without you here. And that's okay. And you have to learn to accept that people know more than you, they have more experience in this space than you, and they're more hireable than you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
So that was my place of operating, right? I think I met some of the people that you recommended me to, and it was just a lot of discussions about this space.
Yeah.
Right? And what it looks like, how to operate in it. It was great. It was a huge learning curve. And then, of course, I started working, which was like, oh God, because you doubt yourself. You're like, that's true. You're like, oh my God, I have all of these degrees. I thought that I was hireable, whatever, what's going on? And then you start working, and then it's so sad how we equate our worth to our jobs or our ability to be employed.
Yeah.
But I went through it, and then I got a job which was an international job, and then I got a job also consulting with a startup.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a huge balancing act, but it was what I enjoyed doing, still leveraging my international experience.
Yeah.
And still being able to do what I enjoy, but also with the startup, which is Kenyan based, still also really getting to understand Kenya, learn Kenya as well, learn where I'm from, my community, and it was such a blessing, you know what I mean? And then I worked for a year or so, and then things just kind of like went up from there. It's literally what everybody said, you know, you have your routine, your social life is happening or whatever, you get another job, and it's like things are looking up, and it's such a journey, but you just have to understand that it's like you're new to this space, you have value, and you are on a journey. You haven't reached, but you are on a journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now, because you've mentioned social fabrics.
Yeah.
So for sure, when you left, you definitely have your group of friends, people you've grown up with.
Yeah.
Definitely, you created new relations. Different countries where you were. Then you came back.
Yeah.
Has that dynamic made sustaining or maintaining such relations difficult? And when you came back, have you been able to create new networks? And if so, how have you managed to do that?
Yeah. So the thing is like, I've always been a very lone wolf.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Really?
Yeah. You're learning something.
I'm learning.
I've always been alone. I've never ever wanted to be moved by the crowd. I have lots of great friends from different parts of the world, but when it comes to my decisions and making friends, I always like to go out of my comfort zone. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was in Canada, I was in the East Coast doing my high school.
Yeah.
And then everybody was applying to universities on the East Coast. All of my friends that I had met in this country, right, were all University of Toronto, McMaster, Waterloo, everyone. Our Ryerson, And for me, I chose to go to a university that's a 6-hour flight away.
That's UBC, right?
Yeah. Knew nobody, but I was like, you know what? I've made these friends and this is okay.
Yeah.
But I really think I want to be on the West Coast. This course and this university is calling me. And I made the decision as a 17-year-old to be like, this is not my path.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've always just been like, it's always great to be in your comfort zone and cherish those friendships.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also okay to push and discover new things. So when I came home, of course, I had my friends that we were in high school with and stuff like that. But at the same time, for me being away for so long, those dynamics have changed. We're not eating break together. It's been 10 years, you know what I mean?
That's true.
We're not, walking to wherever, it's like the moment that held us all together is so far gone. No, it's still cherished.
Yeah.
But it's so far gone, and it's like you almost start to learn people again.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes when you relearn people, your personalities and where you're at in life is not aligned.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not that anyone is wrong or whatever, but it's like we were friends at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
And where we're at now is not aligned, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so there's still people that, I still keep in touch with, but there are also people who it's like, we're just in different places, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, and I think it was also when I was looking for a job as well, is pushing myself to network, So actually, a huge amount of like my ability to find work was through networking and understanding how the space works.
Yeah.
So it's like, whether it's calling this person, having a conversation, and it's not to ask Ati for a job.
No.
It's really not, honestly, because it doesn't work. For me, I really made a lot of new friends and also created a lot of work opportunities through conversations that I was having with people. And it's not Ati, you ask people to find you a job.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, that's also how our society looks like. You come home and then it's like your parents are so and so. It's like, Mom, find me a job. Dad, find me a job. That has not been my experience.
Yeah.
Of course, your parents will ask people, my daughter's come back,
Yeah.
She's done this, and this. Can you circulate her CV?
Yeah.
But it was also a pandemic, right? And so for a lot of people, it's also just like, we don't know necessarily what to do with that.
Yeah.
For me, it was the complete opposite, where I had to really try on my own.
Yeah.
And everything that I have been able to achieve work-wise has really been through my own doing. Because the worst thing that could happen, particularly if you're very passionate about what you do, is your CV gets passed along, and then somebody gives you a job that's your mom's friend and you hate it. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Versus like you do the hard work on your own, you know exactly what you want. You talk to different people and you're like, I'm in this space. This is where I'm at in my career. What do I need to do at this point? And how has your journey been? You know what I mean? Finding a mentor. And then that way you can be told this website posts these kinds of jobs. This is how to tailor your CV. This is how to present yourselves in interviews. And then slowly you kind of end up in the space that you want. And it's also a lot more rewarding because you're like, I have gotten this by my own merit and not because
someone somewhere. But it's funny, I'm hearing you speak and I'm like, my God, preach on. But the level of insight you have, especially coming from a different context and then landing in Kenya. Kenya is not easy, honestly. Kenya is tough. Even for me, having never studied anywhere apart from Kenya, never lived anywhere apart from Kenya, I still find it so difficult to navigate through the systemic and structural barriers and challenges that we have. So for you right now, when I hear you speak, I'm like, my Lord, what, Mwango, for you, having been outside Kenya, this is such a huge step in itself. Leave alone just finding work. The mindset that you have will definitely take you places. And so, right now, you're working. Loving what you do so far. What advice would you have, especially for either a parent who's thinking, I want to send my kid abroad, or for that young person who's so eager, oh my God, the land of milk and honey, whether it's North America, whether it's Asia, it's still abroad. What advice do you have for the different demographics as they're thinking about what's next in terms of life? Could be studying, could be just looking for a job, because I think you've had both experiences. You studied and worked as well.
So in answer to your question, the kind of advice that I would have for someone who's thinking of studying abroad is, and I didn't have this lens looking so far forward. I kind of just fell into place. Is just think about what you want to do long term, and then also think about where, there's so many things traveling abroad, because it's like you have to think about immigration. You have to think about employability. So the country you're going to, right? What are your options after you graduate? The good thing with Canada is it's so easy to stay and work versus the UK, where you kind of have to come back home. The restrictions are so tough in the sense, or at least they used to be, in the sense that it's so hard to find work and stay and get a work visa. So it's like, what are you studying? What are your immigration options? And then particularly, like, whatever it is that you're studying, will you be getting a good pay, or are the employment options good where you are? So the good thing with me is like, and what I ended up finding out, it's not that I knew before coming home, is that being home for what I work in will get me more opportunities and also better pay working from here within that sector than working in the Canadas and the Londons. Perhaps you'll end up there as you work more, but at the initial early career, mid-career stage, this is a very good place to be. So if now, say for example, you're an engineer, you go and do mechanical, electrical engineering in Canada, and you want to come back home. What is that looking like? Talk to people on the ground. Hey, what are you doing? Did you graduate in mechanical engineering and now you're just in your parents' business? You know what I mean? Is mech engineering what you want to do for a career? But check about where people who have that degree are working. You know what I mean? It's so important to have that forward-looking lens, because the worst place to be, and I just listened you guys talking about mental health. The worst place to be is feeling like you've given your whole life and money, because education is not cheap, and living in these countries is not cheap. You've given so much of your life to this degree and this pursuit of this career, and then going to a place where you are not rewarded for it and having to do
not
things.
Satisfied.
So just have the lens, talk to people. Honestly, guys, to use LinkedIn. I'm not even kidding.
No, I love it. Like, honestly, every time you reach out to me, I'm like, even for me,
Yeah.
I wish I did it as well, because I never used to do it.
Yeah.
Now I do it.
Yeah.
In my 20s,
Yeah.
I was just like applying for jobs. Anything pops up, I'm like, here, send my CV.
Yeah.
But now being intentional with what you're saying is like, can I speak to someone in my industry with my expertise?
Yeah.
Find out how the ground is before immersing myself.
Yeah.
That's such an important point.
And you build your network. Like, I cannot begin to tell you and you build your network, and then people remember you, right? Like, I remember when I went out with friends, and it was one of those Fridays, I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to just be in my house. I showed up in a hoodie and leggings. And I met a really
This was like the Netflix outfit, like right now.
I said, all I want is food, whatever. And and I met someone, and he was working. He had a really cool job, and we just had a conversation. And I was so interested in like what he was working in and stuff like that. And we had a great chat. I got his number, and just very on a friendly basis, got his number. Said, hey, super nice to meet you. Loved our conversation. This is my number. Let me know when you're in town next, because I think he works outside of the county.
Yeah.
A lot. And so I remember just before I got my new job, he messaged me and he said, hey, we had such a cool conversation. There's a role that's opened up at our place.
Oh
you
my
would
gosh.
be so great for it.
Yeah.
Never asked him for a job, nothing. But it's like, you just, put yourself out there socially. So don't be socially, right? But don't be all over the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear
but
you.
also professionally, but not in a way where you're not relatable, right?
Yeah. Because that's the other thing. Guys our age, when I say guys, both men and women, when we say it's a Friday night out or it's a Saturday brunch, the first thing is having fun.
Yeah.
What we now call kupika sherehe, guys. Honestly, we forget. Yeah. On a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning, you're still Mwango, who is the professional, whether you have your own business, whether you're working somewhere. And so it's really just about having fun. It's about how do you use every single opportunity when you're interacting with someone to show who you are, honestly, because you don't know where that can lead to and what opportunities it can be able to open up, Yeah, I love that. So did you take up the job?
I got a new one, a really good offer. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, I will pass this on to someone who I think would be great, but thank you for thinking of me. So when someone is thinking of you like that, it's so gratifying, because you didn't have to. You know what I mean? You have your own things, your own jobs, your own problems.
You made a fast food impression.
Guys, it's just being yourself. Even I was in a hoodie and leggings, and you still thought I was a serious somebody, surely.
But that's the thing, it means it's what is in your brain, not just about the superficials. I don't like drama. I love friendships where the boundaries are very clear.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the time to hang out every weekend, if you miss a special occasion, no one really holds, honestly, like a gun to your head, like why did you not? And sometimes I feel like I'm pulled towards the male friendships more, because the drama on my end is less. You have your space, do your thing, Linda. If you can catch up, perfect. If you can't, it's fine.
Friendships that give you grace. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you message me or I messaged you and you didn't respond right away, for me, I'm like, Linda is working a very demanding job. And you've got so many other things. Whether you blue ticked me, I'm not going to hold it against you. And it's like friendships that give you grace. You know what I mean? That allow you to be who you need to be. Step away if you need to for some time. But then knowing that you guys have such a good bond that like you're still there.
You're secure in your relationship.
That is it.
You're very secure. You're not like, where is she? What is she doing? I love that. So what next for Mongo? I know you're currently working, but apart from work, because I know that's new and fresh. What can people expect from you?
Honestly, guys, I feel like the world is really my oyster at this point. I am the kind of person who you will find me the next day living in a different country. Because I feel like with my kind of work, I will be traveling at some point.
Yeah.
And the potential of moving to different places. I want to live in as many places as I can as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and just trying to eat life with a big spoon.
Like, honestly, whenever she travels, I'm like, I'm living through, like, seriously. And it's like, Mongo, could you just pack me in your suitcase? One of the fine days.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. This has been, I've laughed so hard. Mom, please, let's stop this ending of the world drama. The world is not ending as of now. But thank you so much for joining me. Any parting shot for the people?
Home is not as scary as it sounds. I know you have your comforts, but home is very big. It's open, and you can really be whatever it is that you want to be, within reason, of course, and research. I'm loving it so far, you know? So that's really it.
So guys, as you've heard from Mwango, oh my goodness, East or West, home is best. But remember, do your research, speak to people on the ground. It's very important. Don't just get on the next flight blindly to come back home. But it is amazing, and I'm really happy to have her home. And let's see what holds next in Mwango's future. Maybe next time, actually, we can do On the Move with Mwango. Yeah. Wherever you'll be, that would be great.
I mean, it will be chaotic, but fantastic.
So thank you so much, guys. Until next time, remember to subscribe if you haven't, and dare to be you, dare to be different, and dare to be great. See you.